Okay, here we go. Some Latin. Part 1. It was preface last time. 4. What do we got here? We've got ablatives. Aliquot doesn't decline, so it just means several. For in several adverse Proleus battles in the Second Punic War, with the exhausted military, the Roman youth who were in the military were exhausted, being killed mainly, I suppose. The Senate, this was nominative, the Senate, on the authority or the leadership of Tiberius Gracchus the consul, which is more ablatives, the Senate censured it, decreed or decided that publicly or for the public, the servile slaves for use of repelling or propelling the hostium or the impetus of the hostium. Okay, so that slaves that they could use to repulse the enemy should be emerited, should be bought. And concerning this matter, de re, equi means the same, through the tribunes of the plebs, that's a bit of a shortened version of plebs, put the people, with the people, this proposed bill, you might want to say, was latte. It was bore before the people, and tres creati sunt viri, and looks like 3 men were created, who, the qui, they would procure, cum paraverunt, quator and vigenti, 24,000, milli is 1,000, so there's 24,000 of slaves. So they're going to buy these slaves, which are going to be used to repel Parini, the Carthaginians. And they were driven or forced to, by jure jurando, by making swearing an oath, that they would give these slaves strenuous, which means strong and brave operam. They would be bold and brave, I suppose, in their work, until the Phoenicians in Italy were, where's that word gone? Repulsed. They were repelled. And they would be sent, these slaves, to Lachuros. They would be carrying arms in the camp, as long as these Phoenicians were still in Italy, who needed to be repelled. And the slaves here are sort of driven as well by an oath. Ex Apulia, so from Apulia, even also from the Pataculis, that's a tribe that Livy mentions, Septuaginta, and it's a bit of a shorthand way of doing do centai or something, I think it would be. 270 to supplement the cavalry, the equitators, were emptied, they were bought. If you know your Latin, the buyer beware, you have emptor, cave emptor or something. Quanta violentia est. How great is the violence in this case of a Kirby? It's just bitterness. So I guess the Romans are very bitter against their enemy, the Carthaginians, so I don't know exactly what the violence is about anyway, but quae civitas, so that's usually the city or the citizenry, the community together. To this time, ad id tempus, neutus, what are they fastidiated. They were loath to habere milites, to have soldiers who were in Genue, so that means they're native born, original, I guess you say, that looks like that in English if you want to be very literal. Capite, so they didn't really like to have capite means your head, by head it'd be ablative singular. So this time they didn't really like to have soldiers who were chosen in this method, sensi capite, but even they extracted bodies from the servilibus cellus. Cellus are usually rooms, so they took out slaves from rooms, and what have we got? Collected Mancipia, Carsus. These are Carsus is a cottage, I'm guessing, a pastoral. So even from shepherds' huts, they collected slaves. So I guess they're getting desperate now. So they normally don't even like to conscript people, I suppose. And then now they're getting all these slaves, as if to they add these to their army, suo exercitu in the dative, to especially firm it up. Praecipium means it's a special type of firming. They need to firm up their army, I guess, against the Carthaginians. Seated erga interdum. Interdum means sometimes, therefore then. A generous osis, that usually means a highborn or something. Highborn spirit seeds to dative, to usefulness or utilitas, and succumbs to the strength of fortune when, unless you choose, you legaris, a more safer sort of counsel or plan of actions. This showiness, this speciosa, follows, this looks like it means to fall, so you need to pick a more safer way of planning things, because if you get too showy or whatever, it leads to a fall, I'm guessing. Or tem. So moreover, the clades of Kenai, addio, look like to such an extent, with ut as a correlative, confused, confunded vehemently our city, nostra urbum, that, what have we got here, blative, that, okay, he's administrating. Marcus Junius Pera, the dictator, administrating the accusative, administrating the republic. The spoils of the enemy affixed to the temples. I guess they took spoils and hung them on the walls, which were consecrated to the godheads of the gods, to the powers of the gods or something. They were consecrated in the temples for the gods. They were convaleranted. They were plucked off for future use for the military, as instruments, you might want to say, if you want to go right into the grammar of it. They plucked it off to use these instruments again, and pretexted boys in their young togas, have a strip on them. They enduranted armour, so young boys, it looks like, got conscripted here, so the young boys are conscripted and put on their armour. Addictorum etium, okay, so we've got 6,000 men condemned for capital crimes, even were addictorum, were added. Okay, so like addictorum, the daily dictionary. Addictus, addicti, person enslaved for debt or theft. Okay, it's probably in other dictionaries with more explanations. These things which, quae, if aspiciantes, if they were looked upon per se in themselves, they would have something of rubor, something of a blushing or a shame. If they were pondered by the necessities of moving some strength, if you really want to co-align the Latin with the English, this would seem a very convenient praesidia, or very fitting sort of guard or defence to the savagery of the time. Okay, that's sticking close to English. Propter iadem cladem. On account of the same disaster, the Senate, the nominative, to Octocilo, who had Sicily, and Cornelius Memule, another dative, who had Sardinia, as praetors, obtained, verbs at the end of the sentence, so they held these positions, this guy of Sicily and the other guy of Sardinia. Here they're still dativing, but they're dativing together in the present participle, so they were complaining that neither anything of stipendium, of payment, nor of grain, the Socais, the allies, were offering for their fleets and armies of them. Affirm antibusting even, and even affirmed or stated that ne quidem, not even did they have any place where they were able, from where they were able to offer this. Senate was the nominative, so the Senate rescripted, wrote back that the aerium, the treasury, was not suffice for these longin quis impenses. These are far off expenses or something like of that sort. Proindi. So then, quo pacto, by what means was such an inopia, such a lack, they should see to their own securinum. They should have to help themselves by some means, it looks like. With these letters, what other than the gubernalia of the empire, the ruling of the empire, they had cast off Sicily and Sardinia from their hands with these letters saying they didn't have the money to pay, and these very benignissimus superlative nutrices. These are like what your nurses do. They nourish very kindly. These are, if you want to take the female version of it, these are wet nurses or something of our city, and steps and stabilimenta of our wars. So I guess they depended a lot on this as foundations of stability of the wars, which by so much sweat, ablative, and blood had been redacted into Rome's power, with such a few amount of words, they lost these stabilimentas of war. Obviously, with necessity bidding that this happened.